Hello students, welcome back. Today we will continue the remaining theories on origin of life. So in the previous part we will discuss about spontaneous generation of life or abiogenesis theory or theory of autogenesis proposed by Greek philosophers like Aristotle. According to this theory, the life is originated from non-living things in a spontaneous manner. So those days the people thought that snakes originate from the mud, rats originate from garbage, insects originate from plant juices, microorganisms are originate from water and air. So up to here we discussed in the previous part. Now today we are going to start some of the experiments which are supporting to this spontaneous generation and which are disapproved this spontaneous generation. Let's see the first experiment, that is von Helmholtz's experiment. In 17th century, von Helmont performed an experiment by keeping a dirty shirt with few wheat grains in a dark cupboard for 21 days. At the end of experiment, mice were seen in the cupboard. So he supported the theory of spontaneous generation. According to him, the active agent was thought to be human sweat. Reddy's experiment. In the year 1688, Reddy, an Italian biologist, tried to test this theory of spontaneous generation. He kept dead fish, dead snake, and meat in four wide mouthed flasks and left them open. He put the same things in another set of four flasks but sealed them thoroughly. Reddy observed little white worms and larvae on decayed flesh in the opened flasks. He did not find any worms or flies in the sealed flasks. His experiment did support the idea that life can arise from pre-existing life only. That is, the concept of biogenesis. So let observe the jars mentioned here. So here the one jar that is kept with fishes, dead fishes, and it is not sealed, it is opened. So in this open flasks like this he arranged total four flasks with opened mouth flasks, and he kept dead fish, snake and meat into that flasks, and he did not close it, it is open. In those flasks he identified small flies and larvae on the decayed meat, decayed fish and decayed snake. And whereas the same things, the dead fish, dead snake and meat are kept in another four flasks, but he sealed them thoroughly. So here in this jar, and in those flasks after few days he did not observe any larva or maybe any flies in that sealed bottles. So based on this, he concluded that the life is arises from pre-existing life That means he did not support the theory of abiogenesis, but this concept is supporting to the biogenesis. Life arises from pre-existing life. Pasteur's experiment. In the year 1862, Louis Pasteur, a French microbiologist, finally disapproved the theory of spontaneous generation and gave the scientific explanation that life originated only from pre-existing life. So, who gave the scientific explanation to disprove the spontaneous generation? Louis Pasteur, and he is a microbiologist, and he considered as a father of microbiology. So Louis Pasteur performed the experiment with a swan neck flask. Louis Pasteur took nutrient solution or broth in a long neck flask, and then he bent the neck of flask in a shape of S using heat. So here it is. So first he took the nutrient solution into the long necked flask, and after collecting this nutrient solution or broth into the long necked flask, he bent the neck of this flask into S shape by heating. He boiled the nutrient solution for several minutes so that bacteria were either killed or driven out of flask. So after bending this neck of the flask into S-shaped neck, and then he boiled this nutrient solution for few minutes. As a result, the bacteria present in this nutrient solution either killed or may be driven out from the solution. Means it is free from bacteria. The curved neck acted as a filter. No life appeared as the germs in the dust particles in the air were trapped by the curved neck, which serves as a filter. So now the S-shaped neck of this flask is helpful to prevent the entry of germs from the surrounding atmosphere or from the dust particles present in the air. So that's why the curved neck is acted as a filter to prevent the entry of microbes from the dust particles of the air. If the swan neck was broken off, the nutrient solution developed colonies of bacteria and molds. That means fungi. So now in previous slide we discussed that the bent neck acts as a filter to prevent the entry of germs like bacteria which are present in the dust particles of the air. Now we are broken the bent neck. As a result, the nutrient solution is directly exposed to the air. As a result, the bacterial colonies and fungi or molds are developed in the nutrient solution. Thus, Pasteur showed that the source of the microorganisms for fermentation, such as for milk, sugar and wine, etc., was the air, and the organisms did not arise from the nutrient media. So the microorganism already existed in the air, and when the nutrient medium is directly exposed to that, the bacterial colonies are developed by using that nutrient media. But bacteria does not arise from that nutrient medium or maybe nutrient solution. Thus, Louis Pasteur finally disapproved abiogenesis and proved biogenesis. That means he supported that the life is originated from pre-existing life, not from non-living objects. Next theory, theory of panspermia. It is also called as cosmozoic theory, or also called as spore theory. This theory was proposed by Richter in the year 1865. According to this theory, protoplasm reached the earth in the form of spores or germs or other simple particles from some unknown part of the universe with the cosmic dust, and subsequently evolved into various forms of life. So according to this theory, the germs or maybe spores which are came from any part of the universe. Arrhenius, another scientist, postulated the panspermia theory and started that organisms existed throughout the universe and their spores could freely travel through space from one star to the others. Another theory, theory of eternity of life. This theory was proposed by Preyer in the year 1880. According to this theory, different types of living beings have always existed on earth and shall continue to exist forever. Theory of catastrophism. Jacques Cuvier and Aubigny proposed this theory, catastrophism. According to this theory, catastrophic revolution occurs upon earth from time to time which destroys all organisms. Here catastrophic means a disastrous event. That means some disastrous event is occurs on earth time to time and it will destroys all the organisms on earth. New organisms then suddenly form from inorganic matter. Each creation consists of life quite different from that of the previous one. So due to disastrous events, the organisms, entire organisms, living organisms are destroyed on earth. And new organisms suddenly formed from the inorganic matter and they are quite different from previous living organisms which are died due to these disastrous events. In fact, this theory is a modification of theory of special creation. means it is not accepted. It is supporting indirectly to the spontaneous generation or a special creation. Here it is. Oparin Haldane theory, chemical evolution. This theory is the most widely accepted scientific theory of origin of life. Two biochemists, one from the Russia, A.I. Oparin in 1923, and another one, the Englishman, England, J.B.S. Haldane in 1928. Both the scientists independently gave the biochemical theory of origin of life. According to the Oparin Haldane theory, or chemical evolution of theory, the complex organic molecules would have been formed through a series of chemical reactions in the Earth's primordial soup. They proposed that the chemical synthesis of organic compounds occurred in the oceans. Remember the word here, primordial soup. We will get the meaning of this primordial soup in later slides. Please remember that word. There was abundant energy for the synthesis of these chemicals on Earth. So as for chemistry, for formation of new molecules, it requires energy. So that energy is abundant on the Earth. That energy was present in the form of powerful UV radiations from sun, since there was no ozone layer to inhibit or to stop this energy to enter the Earth. And it is present in another form, that is radiations from radioactive rocks, heat energy from volcanoes, electric energy from lightning during thunders. So the abundant energy is present on the earth to synthesize new chemicals and to occur chemical reactions. The energy, it is present in abundant and in different forms. So one is from sun directly, UV radiations because of lack of ozone layer, and the radiations emitted by radioactive rocks, heat energy from volcanoes, and electric energy from the lightning of thunders. This energy is the source for occurring the chemical reactions to synthesize new chemicals. Various organic molecules like amino acids, sugar, and nucleotide bases were formed spontaneously from ammonia, methane, and water. Continuous rain washed these compounds into oceans and ponds. So due to continuous rains, the chemicals which are formed, that ammonia, methane, and water, are carries into the oceans. Since there were no living organisms to consume these chemicals and no oxygen to destroy these intermediate compounds, the organic compound necessary for life gradually accumulated in the oceans. So here we are saying that why that chemicals are become these organic compounds, because that chemicals which are enter into the oceans are not utilized by any living organism because of lack of the living organisms, and due to lack of oxygen they are not undergone any oxygenation reactions. So that's why they are gradually converted into organic compounds and which became primordial soup or broths which could support life. So primordial soup, already I told, remember that word. That means the oceans with these organic compounds, or they treated them as primordial soup or broths. That means they consider some required substances to originate the life or to support the life. Complex organic molecules were formed through chemical reactions in these nutrient rich primordial soups in which life could have arisen. Oparin suggested the formation of clusters or specialized droplets called coaservatives, which could grow, divide, and replicate themselves. The coaservates may have produced the primitive type of cell taking other molecules from the primordial soup. Whatever the points we discussed in this, that we are represented in a diagrammatic representation. So on early Earth, the energy sources, abundant energy source, that is from erupted volcanoes and lightning and ultraviolet radiations from. So already we discussed that in early Earth it consists water vapor, hydrogen gas and ammonia, methane, and these are all present. And when water vapor starts to decondense and it form as a rain, and these chemical reaction interact to form the new compounds like amino acids, and these substances are drained into the oceans and they react together by using the abundant energy source, and they converts into the complex organic molecules. So such complex organic molecules, the Oparin suggested that coaservatives. The word suggested by Oparin, that is coaservates. Let's see what the structure of this. Coaservates are clusters of proteins or protein-like substances which tend to form droplets when introduced into water. A coaservate is formed when an organized layer of water molecules forms around the large protein molecules. Coacervates are also said to be spherical aggregates in aqueous medium. Coacervates grow by absorbing nutrients from the medium. The boundary layer tend to be selective in allowing the kinds of molecules that enter. So now let's see here. Coacervate is nothing but a cluster of protein. Cluster means group of protein which tend to form a droplets when introduced into the water. A coacervate is formed when an organized layer of water molecule. So coacervate is nothing but cluster. That group is formed due to surrounding of the water molecules or due to enclosing or surrounded. These proteins are surrounded by these water molecules and to form a large protein molecule. So protein molecules, due to surrounding these water molecules around these protein substances, and the water layers are formed and they become a cluster, conservative clusters of protein. And the speciality of these conservatives are they are grow by absorbing the nutrients from the surrounding media. And the boundary layer, the layer of the water present around this, the boundary layer of this conservative acts as a selective. It allows only certain substances into these clusters. And also they have ability to replicate. That means they can produce one more molecule from this. Coacervate, on reaching a critical size or a certain size, it divide by budding like bacteria. Coacervate show familiar chemical reactions like decomposition of glucose inside the cells, decomposition of glucose that we will call as glycolysis. It shows in that coacervate. Acervate. Sidney Fox, scientist, also experimented, demonstrated the formation of aggregates of these organic polymers like operins coacervates. Sidney Fox called these aggregates as a proteinoids. So coacervates, it are clusters of proteins. The same Sidney Fox is also observed, but he named them as proteinoids, and their structural and functional similarities are equal to that discovery of warfarin coacervates. The possible steps in the origin of life. In the origin of life, the atoms involved, that is hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, and the gases like hydrogen, water vapor, methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide, hydrocyanic acid, but there is no oxygen. And the chemicals present in this atmosphere, the methane and water react together by using abundant energy sources on earth and converts into sugars, fatty acids, and glycerols. And methane, water, and ammonia react together to form amino acids. Methane, water, ammonia, and hydrocyanic acid HCN to form nitrogen bases like adenine, cytosine, guanosine, and thiamine or uracil or the nitrogen bases. They are main compounds in the formation of nucleic acids, that is RNA and DNA. Sugar plus sugar, that means simple sugars organize or react together to convert it into polysaccharides or complex carbohydrates. Fatty acids and glycerols react together to form complex fats. Amino acids are react together to form polypeptide chains, and these polypeptide chains are formed as a complex structures called as proteins. So proteins are made up of amino acids. These amino acids are present in the form of polypeptide chains in the proteins. Nitrogen base, that is adenine, guanine, thymine, cytosine or uracil. Nitrogen base plus sugar molecule plus phosphates forms the nucleotides, and which are the major part in the nucleic acids, that is RNA and DNA. Aggregate proteins, that means cluster of proteins, form as a coacervates as per Oparin, or form as a proteinoids as for Sidney Fox. Origin of first cell, that is anaerobic chemoheterotrophs, and origin of photoautotropes. They carry photosynthesis, and that photosynthesis is the source of releasing oxygen in the atmosphere. So it lead to oxidizing atmosphere, aerobic respiration, and formation of ozone layer. So all these reactions what we discussed, and that lead to the formation of oxidizing atmosphere, and aerobic respiration due to origin of photoautotropes, oxygen is available, aerobic respiration, and the formation of ozone layer. Here it is, the proof for supporting chemical evolution or Oparin held in theory. That proof is provided by Miller and Urey. So let's see what they did. Stanley Miller and Harold C. Urey did series of experiments and put Oparin Haldane theory to test in the year 1953. So these two scientists, Miller and Urey, tested that Oparin Haldane theory, and they provide the experimental proof for the chemical evolution. They tried to recreate the conditions that might have existed on early Earth in the laboratory. So they created the conditions of atmosphere on early Earth in the laboratory. Artificially they are created. They first evacuated the apparatus and made it sterile. So they first in these apparatus they evacuated and it made a sterile. Later they introduced a mixture of gases, those who are present in the early earth, that is methane, ammonia, water and hydrogen gases. The hydrogen gas, methane and ammonia, they are taken in the proportion of 2:1:2. Ammonia, methane, ammonia and hydrogen. That is methane 2 is to ammonia 1 is to 2. That means 2 molecules methane, 1 molecule ammonia and 2 molecules hydrogen. 2:1:2 ratio. Water in the flask was boiled to promote circulation to provide necessary water vapor for reaction. So in the early atmosphere, water vapor is also present. So for that, providing the water vapor, they are boil the water to circulate that water vapor. Energy was supplied by the electric sparks from electrodes in the gaseous chamber. In that chemical evolution theory, we discussed the abundant energy present on the earth in the form of ultraviolet radiations from the radioactive rocks, from the eruptions of volcanoes, from the electric discharge, from the lightning of thunders. So now the energy is required to react these chemicals kept in these gases, kept in these apparatus. So that energy is supplied by the electric sparks from the electrodes. The electrodes are kept in these apparatus to provide the energy. At one place, a trap was provided to collect the products of gaseous chamber. So when it is move on down, they kept on trapper to trap the products. And the experiment was run continuously for about a week, and then the products are formed or analyzed. So they collect the products and they start to analyze what are the chemicals or originated as per chemical evolution of theory. Chemical evolution. Results of Miller and Urey experiment. What chemicals they are observed. So the result is they observed the amino acids like glycine, alanine, and aspartic acid. And they also observed the sugars like ribose. And also they observed the nitrogen bases like adenine formed during this experiment. All these chemicals, what they said during chemical evolution, theory of chemical evolution, or what they proposed the theory of Operin Haldane theory, what they proposed, the complex substances are formed during that early earth atmosphere by using that abundant energy and chemicals present in the atmosphere. The similar chemicals they observed in the laboratory, that is amino acids like glycine, alanine, and aspartic acid, simple sugars like ribose, and nitrogen bases like adenine, they observed in their experiment. Based on their result, they given some conclusions. The abiotic synthesis of organic molecules in the experimental conditions suggested the abiotic origin of life. Life is originated from the non-living. That is first conclusion. The building blocks of cells like nucleotides, amino acids, etc. could have been formed on primitive earth in similar conditions. So what we will call the so-called building blocks, that is nucleotides, they are building blocks in the DNA and RNA. Amino acids are building blocks of proteins because they are these raw materials of proteins formed on primitive earth in similar conditions what they are created in laboratory. And third conclusion, similar building blocks combine to form complex polymers like protein and nucleic acids. So that is whatever the building blocks we said in the above, nucleic acids are combined, react together to form nucleic acids. And amino acid join together to form polypeptide and it form as a complex protein. And last conclusion, abiotic synthesis of molecules is possible only in reducing atmosphere. That means in the absence of oxygen. The abundance of free oxygen prevents the abiotic origin of life today. At present atmosphere, 23% or 21 to 21% of oxygen is present in the atmosphere. That abundance of free oxygen in the atmosphere prevent abiotic origin of life So life originated from the Earth's inorganic atmosphere in the past, but at present it not longer happens today because the reason already we mentioned here, due to presence of abundance of free oxygen. So life is originated from the Earth's inorganic atmosphere. Yes, it is happen when there is no oxygen in the atmosphere. But at today's atmosphere, the abundance 21 to 23% of oxygen is present in the atmosphere. It does not support the origin of life from inorganic atmosphere. Already we said that the intermediate compounds are broken by this oxygen presence. So today life originated only from pre-existing life as postulated by Louis. The next part.